Oh. That should pull in.
No hammer required.
No hammer. Okay, let's use a couple of those pads there, John.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't. Started? Yeah.
Yeah, it started.
Let's give it a little test. What do you
All
think?
right.
One of the best ways, as you probably know, is to measure the diagonals and make sure they agree. What's that, about 47 and 3?
3/8, yeah. Yeah, if the diagonals are the same, the work is
Man,
square.
we're within about a 32nd. I can live with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight about that.
No. That's good.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're square. I'm happy with that. I think I'll let it sit. Really not much more we can do with it. We got a little bit of sanding and touch-up to do with. Some of these aren't lined up just perfectly, but you know, they're very close.
Really?
Well, from here, I guess we ought to start mapping our strategy to cut the sheet stock, don't you suppose?
Well, before we get into that, I was interested in pointing out to some of the members that there are alternative joints that could be used here.
Yeah,
Now,
you're right.
I myself am really a fan of mortise and tenon because many times I won't work with wide rail stock like this, and the mortise and tenon, of course, is infinitely variable. You can make it any size you want regardless of the weight of the rails, bigger or smaller.
Plus you have that face grain to face grain gluing, which is the strongest glue
Terrific.
joint.
Yeah.
You know, there's another one that face grain to face grain that's pretty interesting too, and I don't know if we have a sample here. Yes, I do have one. And that's our lap joint. The difference here is we only cut one face, not both faces.
Uh-huh.
And you don't need the routing. In other words, one setup at the table saw with a dado head or the tenoning jig would make that joint.
That's quick and easy. You will see this end grain.
That's the
peeking out the
downside. A
side.
lot of people don't like to see that end grain exposed on their pieces. But you know, if this were the front of a cabinet and we were to put a dado down here that was 3/8 deep,
It would
no one would
erase
see it.
That's right.
So there are a number of strategies that we can employ here to make that joint workable. A lot of other joints are actually butt joints with reinforcement too. A few of those include the dowel joint. And the dowel joint's another interesting one. You've got so much strength there, and again it's face grain to face grain gluing. And the way those dowels are formed, they're actually fluted so that you don't have a hydraulic effect when you put the glue in. And again, we got that face grain gluing.
Yeah.
Have you used dowels?
Yeah, I've a lot, but you know, I've often found that they were troublesome. Like I couldn't get them to prevent twist in the pieces. By the time I drilled 4 holes, one of the 4 was slightly out of alignment. So
well, and you don't have
frustrating.
that lateral movement either.
That's true.
Now today, if we want that lateral movement, you probably use the biscuits before,
Oh, sure,
haven't
all
you?
the time.
Now in this case, we're using actually a biscuit, and we slip that in the slot like so, and then we have some lateral movement. This looks like it's, yeah, there it is. These are the faces. They're set so that I can move those to get those in the exact position I want. And by the design of this shape, I can move from above to actually creeping down slightly below.
Just wiggle it till it fits right.
Right. And again, just like the dowels, these are drier than the wood, so when the moisture and the glue hits them, they swell up and they lock up. In fact, I was always skeptical of those, so I broke this one. I made up a sample and I just broke it.
Well, that's,
Look at that.
that's pretty good. I've often been prone, particularly when I'm using the number 0, the smallest biscuit, to double them up and use a pair, but...
I never thought of doing that. I've
Yeah.
always used one.
Well, this looks like it's pretty
Strong. I mean, we've destroyed the joint taking it apart like that. Well, I've used this a lot lately because it's faster than the dowels. You've got 4 holes to drill here, and basically with a biscuit cutter or plate joiner, you make 2 cuts in each corner, and it's
Right.
one setup.
One set.
Much faster. One other approach, and you may have used these, and that is the screws. And essentially what you do is you drill 2 pocket holes and then drive the screws in. And you line the faces up. The beauty of this is, really, if I were to put this in the corner of this cabinet, say like this, would you really be able to tell whether that's mortise and tenon or screws?
No, but how about durability? Does that joint creep or move?
I've not had any problems with it.
Or anything?
The other thing is, if I use these, would I be using clamps?
No.
No, I'm moving on to the next step.
But you do take a special jig to drill those holes.
It takes a special jig to drill the holes, but it's probably, as far as speed goes, it's a little faster than dowels and a little slower than the biscuit joints.
Huh.
So you can move fast, and without the clamping operation, you can get a little further on the project. A lot of people like to see the quality, and that's why I thought we'd show the members this approach today. But you know, there's a lot of times you just got to get that cabinet done. You got that
or
weekend.
if you're working in the field,
Right,
where you don't
in
have
the field, or
you
to
can-
join two cabinets side by side. This is the excellent, when you bring two cabinets in the field, that's a great way to put them together.
Yeah.